Hello and welcome back to the RetroStation Podcast. I'm your host Sammy Retro, and today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about I rewatched The Nice Guys from 2016 by Shane Black with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. I watched The Boys episode 5. Other things like Django and Zorro, that's getting an adaptation from its comic book, its crossover comic book, which I think is really cool. But yeah, some more to come. The Boys episode 5 was a much better episode, I think, in terms of everything that's going along, its overarching narrative of these one-shots, basically. It felt very in tune to what the show wants to tell, rather than last episode, which I was not a fan of. I think my favourite was definitely Firecracker's story. I think all the stuff with O-Father and how he kind of is this patriotism to the extreme. Obviously his whole stuff with religion is there, but I think what he kind of represents in the show is that faith that Homelander really, really wants. Obviously his whole arc of I am a god, I'm not Jesus, I'm better than God himself, I'm better than Jesus. I think it's really interesting, and Firecracker being this surrogate of religion, this in-between. And then like O-Father is just there to basically one-up her in every capacity. It's crazy. But I think how they slip in certain references to her past, with especially the Reverend, and how then that weaponizes it later on during the news segment, I think was really captivating and really like, okay, so she does have a soul, but it's like barely there. How obviously Vought and everything to do with the show weaponizes something that you come to love. And in Firecracker's regards, she's not a good person at all. She literally is she is the head of the news, and she's using it for Vaught's puppeteering and everything like that. It's crazy. But her tone when she's not in that Firecracker persona with the Reverend in that scene, I think it was really nice to see that, because there's a bit of humanity left, even if she doesn't show that all the time. It feels nice, even though her demise at the end of the episode is even crazier, and how the eagle with freedom and everything like that. But that's kind of the overarching narrative of her, because this is really her episode. As much as it's about Black Noir, Soldier Boy, and, Terror the dog, it really was her send-off. She's the main focus of everything to do with this kind of Jesus subplot, or Jesus main plot, of how Homelander wants to become God, but how do we convince the public? It's interesting. The condescending O-Father is just really a nice addition, and like sacrificing on what made you and who raised you, as it's kind of, she just made it, she ruined it. She ruined it by doing what Vought says, and that's really, really sad. And obviously, because it's a one-shot episode, it comes back around to this big old Vought meeting. That's the centerpiece, the equilibrium of where the stories start. And then, like, moving on to Black Noir's story, I really like how, just like the O-Father and Firecracker beef, it's the deep in Noir, and circling back to last episode and Stan Edgar, and then that goes into Soldier Boy. I like how it progresses like a domino piece. It all just falls down to the end of the domino, which is Firecracker's demise. I like how they upstage one another, Noir and Deep, even if it's not okay. And the fact that, like, Noir is, he's an actor, he's a trained actor, and this whole stuff of like, this is what's real, it's not the superhero, the fucked up shit. It's actually just going back to the petty stages of how do you one up the worst person in the world, or the worst person in the room with you. It's so hilarious. Like, the Deep versus Noir stuff in this season is probably the funniest it's ever been, because of how eccentric it is. The fact that, like, Deep in the other episode stops Noir from getting any credit by, like, taking him out of gas. It's just, it's funny. And I like how also they use O-Father to get to Homelander. Everything is going back to that man being at the top, obviously trying to cycle in the idea of anything you do has to be for a higher power. And that is what this entire episode is trying to say, is there is always someone at the top that you want to impress. Even if it's Soldier Boy with Homelander, and Homelander trying to impress whoever that may be. It's interesting that, like, when he confronts the Deep after having a conversation with the theatre director, he's like, you need to heal me with God, honest God's healing so I can get my voice back so I can one-up the Deep. Fucking hilarious. And I do hope that happens the next episode, because then it'll give a whole lot more context and, nastiness to these two characters. Like, Noir and Deep can actually have a fucking bro-off, voice on voice, on the podcast. That'd be hilarious. Even though, like, it's probably not going to happen in a big way. It's just going to happen in the second plot like it has now. I just think that's a really nice conclusion to their story of who's the bigger dick. Because they're both just, like, absolute losers in terms of the overarching narrative. They're just there. They're doing their own thing. And I love that. And, like, in terms of trying to, like, the Deep is so clearly trying to be Homelander's best buddy when he doesn't want any of it. It's like, to me, it just feels like he's Milhouse to Bart Simpson. Like, I'm not comparing the characters, they're saying they're one and the same, but just that mentality of no matter what, like, one of them do, they always just go, fuck Milhouse, man, I don't want to talk to him anymore. He's just like the loser friend, and it's so funny. The Deep is a character that was like somewhat serious in the first season and then just immediately nosedives into manosphere bullshit, and I think that's just so funny. I think it's good. And I like the Deep taking him out while he's taking out the theatre director while he was on the toilet. Really? We had to do that now? His last line being, my asshole hurt. Like, oh my God. It does remind me that these writers, they can do something quite interesting, even if it's not serious in nature. Like, yes, it's serious what they're talking about in terms of the bigger, broader aspects of manosphere culture and what it takes to become something that you kind of want to like. Yeah, but it's not that. They have an eel going up whatever the fuck it wants, and Deep out of costume looking like an absolute Andrew Tate clone. Like, the sunglasses and the jacket was hilarious. It's like, so stupid. And then, like, my least favorite of the story is probably Terrier's, in terms of, like, he's basically just a fly on the wall for these characters, but we're always a fly on the wall, so it makes kind of no difference. The stuff with Terrier loving Homelander, those shots of Anthony Starr just showing his ass. It's like, it's funny, but at the same time, I'm like, really? Is this, like, I just talked about the eel going up someone's butt, but, oh man, it's not what I wanted to see today. It's just so absurd. It is so out there, and I don't know what I expected, but when I saw the promo for it and I saw that shot, and I was like, okay, what does this mean at all? And of course it's a dog's vision, and obviously it's trying to, like I said, he's trying to be the fly on the wall for these characters, and we see Mother Milk being so different. He's becoming this quite nihilistic character in nature of, like, he's already dead. Soldier Boy, he's come back alive from the dead from this virus. Mate, it's over. And it does make me wonder, is there more at play here? Has Mother Milk taken some type of Vought experiment just behind himself? Because he got shot in episode 4 and he seemed fine. In this, he doesn't care about the dog hair on the chocolate, and previously he's been OCD, so either it's just like the Homelander clone stuff where people are theorizing way too much and he has some sort of drug power or is something stupid about it, or he's just quite nihilistic. My assumption is the second one, because I think some stuff can slip through the cracks sometimes, and their whole conversation and Butcher's, like, stuff that he's collected is clearly to do with last episode and the Soldier Boy experiment. I think they're going to try either do it to him again to make him overpowered and probably kill him, or just summon out. I don't know. I have no idea what it is, because it's not that clear yet, and that's fine. Like, I hate it that there's no clear narrative right now. It's just kind of whatever. And then that leads into Butcher and Huey's argument about how Butcher is right. You gotta, like, not in the same way that Sister Sage is right later on in the episode, but like how Butcher is kind of correct in a way. It's the V1 does need to be destroyed, but I don't blame Huey for like wanting to try. And then that's what I like about the redemption of, because he helps Taro the dog, he turns around because he has a soft spot for Huey because it reminds him of Lenny. I think that's really, really cool. It is cool. Like, I'm trying to nitpick, I'm trying to be critical, but I like that aspect of Butcher, that like Huey is still the one person that he has a soft spot for, and that in turn have soft spots for other people. So of course he's like, yeah, we'll try and save Kamiko and Annie, maybe yourself, and then the rest, fuck that. That's fair enough. I don't blame him for doing that, but like, it just, as soon as something serious and nice happens, it just cuts to Homelander doing whatever the fuck he's doing, and being like a little kid in the corner. It's just, whew. He does say "Oi Huey" this season. That's the first time I think I've heard it myself. He's probably said it in the past, but just the fact he goes "Oi Huey," I was fully expecting, like, Homelander took me solid. Just like I was expecting the full joke there. But they do bring up Becca, and like that's the reason why he then starts to think of Lenny, starts to think of his mistakes. But he doesn't like back down from his mentality. He's just kind of letting it pass, and I like that. It's not a defeat for him in his mind. It's just okay, we'll do that, but I still win. I still want to kill everyone. Like, it's not necessarily a weakness in Butcher, but I think it will be used as a weakness later on during the season, where Huey stands up against them, or something stupid like that. It will get him hurt, essentially, and I think it will cost him more than he'd want it to be. Probably killing one of the boys. Like, he'll leave them for a second, go after Huey, and then probably Kamiko or Frenchie will probably die because of it, because of that weakness of seeing Lenny and Huey. I mean, it's happened in the past 4 seasons of the show. It's like why, to me at least, it seems like that's why he took on Huey in the first place, because he reminds him of his brother and reminds him of the revenge story that he originally went on. I think that's really cool. And then we go on to Sister Sage's story, the higher up of the vault, and like pushing the strings of Soldier Boy and Ashley. I think that's really cool, and the story of the grandmother is quite nice because we now know it's real. She said it in the past to someone, and we're like, okay, is she lying to get what she wants? But no, I think that's kind of the basis of why her plan is now gone to this stage. Obviously stuff with Godolkin and how it was their plan, we plan, but I think because Godolkin is dead, yeah, she's on even more of a revenge path secretly than she likes to admit. The Ukrainian joke from Ashley was not what I expected. That was way too close to real life circumstances, and that was like, damn. The joke of just wearing a short skirt, Jesus Christ, a gut punch that was. And I like Sister Sage's, and I think this is what I think about the most during that episode, it's always what the man wants. That mentality and that precedent of Sage being like, it's always what the man wants, and that being in terms of Homelander or Stan Edgar before him. It's crazy. Another thing I loved was letting back Ashley take the charge, which I think is so funny. Like, her acting is so incredible, of her turning around, talking to herself, and like her approach. It feels a lot like it just feels like this Jekyll and Hyde type situation where Ashley's trying to be reasonable, but back Ashley is just not at all. She's all front for it, and then Sage knows that, so when she reveals her big plan of, phase 1 is to let Homelander do what he wants, take over the world, release the virus, N2 is the end of the world. World War Soups is what she calls it. I love that. Her entire thing is that she wants to be left alone. And clearly she wanted to be left alone just with Godolkin and her, but Godolkin no more. I thought it was really funny. And then like, you're invited to my bunker. You too, Ashley. Implying that she wants back Ashley more than real Ashley. Fucking hilarious. And there is a bit of friendship there between Ashley and Sister Sage, like telling the story about the grandmother and her own mother to do with cancer and like natural death and something you can't stop. That's why she wants peace. Like it's a mix of everything in her life, and I love that. And I like how she does have friendship even though she's the smartest person in the room, compared to that of like Homelander, and comparing him to Caesar, and like they're not friends, they're barely colleagues. He's doing what he says because she wants what she wants. She's in it for the long game. But the fact that she does have a quote unquote friend, someone that she can talk to in an honest regard, is quite nice to see. Because I think if we didn't have that and it was all just this espionage bullshit, like, I think I'd be less intrigued with where the story was going if everyone was just an asshole. Everyone was so annoying to the point where I was just like, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, so you're just evil, you're doing it for your own regard, you're doing it like, what Sister Sage is doing is not nice or good in any regards, but it's a better motive to me than just like, I am Jesus, I want to take over the world. She wants to be left alone, and with it, she's destroying the world. I think in terms of a TV show, that's quite intriguing. I'll take it over a Jesus subplot personally, and that's not a knock against real life religion or anything like that. This show is supposed to be an exaggerate of everything. So, of course, the exaggerate is, I want to be left alone, so I'm going to end the world, rather than just like, I'm not going to be in a situation I don't want to be in anymore. Quite funny. Then Soldier Boy's story, he's starting to understand Homelander's like moods and emotions, playing to his rank as dad, kind of being like, oh, whenever you're pissy, you make everyone else pissy. And I think they're starting to warm up to one another, and you can definitely tell in this episode when they go to LA and Staniger kind of controls the room, pulling towards this ongoing theme of like higher ranks, like so desperate to have daddy figures. But, you know, Soldier Boy is that. Even if he's not doing a good job of it, he's still doing that. My thing with Stan Edgar is that clearly he's like, he's cool as a cucumber, you know, he doesn't say stuff that he doesn't want to say. And I like that because it's interesting in terms of a character who's still not frightened of Homelander. Everyone is scared of him in some capacity. Soldier Boy less so than anything, but for Stan Edgar, he's just so calm. And there's like, Esposito's acting is just on point as always, but he's just so level-headed. It's quite cool. He does get him though with the Zoe, and that's like the humanity aspect again, where he gets him with Zoe and the dad, and that's where he goes, oh shit, if I don't say something right now, they're gonna die, and that's my fault. He doesn't want to be the problem for anything, but he wants to be at the top. He wants to keep his hands clean when there's no way you can keep your hands clean in this show. It's the boys, there's blood everywhere. Then like Mr. Marathon in LA and the joke of like a washed up movie star, I think is quite funny, and especially the joke with Sony talking about how, like, you know, we can't talk about anything to do with the main VCU, obviously the Vault Cinematic Universe. We can't talk about, like, it's just obviously paralleling the Sony Cinematic Universe or the Sony Spider-Man Cinematic Universe where there's no Spider-Man, and we can't reference Spider-Man or any of those characters at all, but we can definitely use them. Like, it's that leeway of, you go to see something because it's to do with another thing, and like, I find that so funny, and the amount of posters that it's paralleling, like Into the Spider-Verse and, you know, the Vought, whatever, the Avengers one that they did. I think that's so good in terms of, even at this level, even at a Prime Video show, they're still making fun of things that do deserve to be made fun of. I think a lot of shows, when they come to their 5th season, they're either really scared of saying something that's quite real and they're going to play it safe. You've got like the Stranger Things situation where they play it quite safe and they don't do anything that's overly interesting, and it's just like, it's surface level. And then, or you go in the other direction where like it's too outlandish. It's like Euphoria season 3, where it's like, none of this is the same. Why do I care anymore? This is nothing like the old show. But this season, and in terms of making references like that, and their reference to Arby's earlier, even though that's filmed before the time, the fact they make a joke about Arby's being bad and the current meme climate of Arby's being awful, kind of funny. Like the real life parallels do give a crack out of me, because I think that's far funnier than like Soldier Boy just going, oh, I fucked someone in the past, or the dick. Like, yes, it's a low-hanging fruit jab about Sony, but they approve the joke. They literally allow them to say the name Sony Pictures TV. Like, yes, it's a real studio. It's funny. It is good. And, like, when they go downstairs and the group of actors are all sitting there, like, I did get a crack out of it. It reminds me of the studio in terms of they're playing exaggeration of themselves. Hilarious. Their entire bit, how they're like, who do they get? Who do they round up? Because in the previous episodes, we talked about Chaperone and Tyler Crater and how they got rounded up in the Vought camps because they're starlighters in some capacity. But then, like, all these actors are like, as soon as, like, the joke with Will Forte being like, as soon as Hader got destroyed, my roles have been going up. And then, fucking Christopher is like, oh yeah, no, as soon as we need to get Michael Cera out, he's in the same role. And Steph's like, oh, he's been a friend of you 20 years. Why have you done that? Well, I don't know, just I want to roll. Like, I really need this. Like, they're in a mansion in a basement playing poker. How badly do you need that shit? You know what I mean? And Seth Rogen entirely in the episode just playing this calm, cool, collected version of himself, being like, oh no, I actually don't smoke weed. I do it just so I could sell my ashtrays to losers. It's just so... It's so... It's so out there. In terms of the thing is, these celebrities do that, and like the joke earlier with Ashley or the theater director being like, oh yeah, no, Paul Rudd's not who he is. It's like, okay, that's just, you're like, Paul Rudd's supposed to be this national treasure, and then just like, nah, Paul Rudd's not who he says he is. Or Seth Rogen like, nah, I actually don't smoke weed, it's not part of me. I think it was so funny. And like the Craig Robinson bit where like he comes to the bathroom and goes, oh man, those tacos, obviously doing the bit about the real life, the fucking actor who does tacos, and then he gets killed because of it. It's just like, it's clever enough to poke at LA culture and LA celebrity, not in like a serious way, in more like a nuanced way that like Wonder Man does it, but my god, it's so funny. And then Mr. Marathon with the baby oil, even Homelander, and like the old vault room as we go down into the baby oil stuff. Even Homelander was disgusted. Even Homelander was like, "What the fuck is this?" And like now, because of the old vault room and talking about V1, their entire reason of going there, bomb site is now the target of both sides. Previously, it was just the boys and they knew, but now the higher ups know. And like obviously later on when he uses all the celebrities, Soldier Boy uses all these celebrities to stop Mr. Marathon from getting to him, and Seth Rogen's there lying on the ground. It's like, oh man, when I watch American Pickle, I think of you. Like, who the hell is rewatching American Pickle? Like, they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were saying with that. I think it was hilarious. I think it was so funny. And like this ultimatum of when Homelander is knocked out earlier on, of like ending Homelander, but he doesn't do it because of the connection that higher up, the higher ranks that I was talking about. It's like, he may be an asexual whatever, but he's my asexual whatever. No one's gonna fuck my son. It's like, what the hell? It's crazy because Soldier Boy is starting to warm up to him, even if it's not for any personal gain. It's still there's still a smidge of connection there. And like Soldier Boy using these actors to fuck with Mr. Marathon, capturing him, talking about V1, and is Bombshell actually got it or not? It's like, I've not talked to him in 5 years, but I'm assume so. It's like he's quite intimidating there when he's snapping the guy's legs, and then Homelander comes in and he snaps his head off. It was like, oh, okay, so they're starting to work together. Even though Homelander knows about the stuff, obviously the stuff with last episode really contradicts it, but as much as they want to contradict it, they do have some level of respect. He says it out of respect for you. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's all right. Warming up to him. I see how it is. Is this going to go downhill in the last episodes? Are they going to work together, or are they going to be against one another as when the season finale comes out? I don't think they'll be on the same side. I think with the way that the showing is going right now, I think, yeah, I think it's just not going to end well for any of these characters, especially in terms of the boys. I think half of them are going to die. But this level, I think Soldier Boy is probably still my favorite character by episode 5. His intentions and kind of old mantra is funny yet annoying at the same time, but it's just enough of a hate watch where I'm like, okay, Soldier Boy, what are you doing next? Because obviously this is all going to lead into Vought International, the prequel show. But how are they going to wrap up Soldier Boy's story? They're going to leave it open-ended. Is he going to lose his powers? Like how probably Homelander's going to lose his powers. But are they going to be butting heads, or are they going to be best friends by the end of the season? Is what I'm thinking. Yeah, I don't know. But to conclude on that episode, I think it was really, really good, and the ending really solidifies that for me. The stories align when Homelander kills Firecracker because she isn't being loyal enough, not because she isn't good enough in some capacity. She's not loyal enough, and like Firecracker's death, using the eagle that has been weaponized for America, like especially with the Vought, the American camps and the America churches now. Oh God, it's weird to see a show perfectly parallel real life politics like that. Even if it's supposed to be exaggerated, it's just gone to that level of exaggeration, and the boys, they're on that same level, and that's so weird. But yeah, she got too close about love, and it's her time. Like, using the eagle's arm to kill her was quite like, whoa, okay, so it wasn't a gruesome death. It wasn't like oh my god, I need to kill you because I'm so angry at you. It's just, yeah, your time is done. Oh, Father can do what you can do better because of his political reach in the church, and you aren't loyal enough to me. Like, even if you threw away your Jesus statue, which they talk about, the Jesus action figure, which that in itself is hilarious. It feels like a Rick and Morty bit, but that death, damn. I think she'll be missed in terms of representation of, the political reach. I think now we're just going to have so many. It's just going to be cracking down these walls of what can Homelander do, and oh Father, how much can he take now? Because Firecracker's been at the end of that for like 2 seasons. Now it's oh Father's turn. Yeah. I think I just want to solidify that eagle being how people weaponize America, or the idea of America, into people's faces, and that eagle's death being used against one of the most patriotic people in the show proves that no matter how political you are, how patriotic you are, how religious you are, there's still some amount of a higher rank that will disobey you and will not think that you're good enough in terms of their loyalty, no matter how far you try. And obviously that goes back to the kind of beginnings of the entire show, of the Supes being worse people than we think, even when they are supposed to be good. I'm excited to see. Now I'm excited to see where it goes, because I feel like we've actually had a progression in the plot, even if it's not that much of a progression, but the characters themselves have had a chance to grow a little bit forward when compared to last episode, where it was just what we already knew. This is new territory, this is new stuff, this is a new day for what's the status quo going to be, because originally it's always going to be Firecracker talking about the news, Homelander or whoever progressing the plot in other capacities, but without Firecracker it's now Oh Father, who works very closely with the presidential candidate, more close than ever, because obviously Ashley and Oh Father are married. Yeah, I think this episode was quite good. I think in terms of like a rating, it's not peak of peak, but it was more than decent when compared to last episode, which was less than decent. So yeah, I can't complain. It was a good thumbs up from me. That was so stupid. A good thumbs up from me. Christ. Moving on to The Nice Guys, which came out in 2016 by Shane Black, starring Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. I'm still enamored by how funny this is. I think the comedy was always done right. The 1970s aesthetic was absolutely hilarious about these two PI people trying to stop a videotape going out about the corruption in the Justice Department of LA, and how it ties back to kind of film and adult films and stuff like that. I think just every line is still so funny. They knew what they were making when they were doing it. It wasn't like this got funnier over time. It's just as funny the first time. And I think when comedies do that, it's quite hard to make something that's funny the first time and then funnier the second time. Good comedy does that. Bad comedy will make you go, "Huh, that was funny." And then when you watch again, you go, "Ooh, that was not really, okay, yeah, I'm kind of tired of that joke every 3 seconds." But The Nice Guys doesn't do that. It just kept on, the bits just kept on getting funnier and funnier, especially in terms of Ryan Gosling's, like, drunken state and his looks and his mannerisms. They were perfect. Every time there was a mention of a drink, he was just turning his eye, and it, like, especially when Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling, they start teaming up and they go to this LA party, and he's questioning for this girl Amanda. The whole point of, we need to find Amanda so then we can talk to her about the tape. It is hilariously correct in terms of the comedic timing and chemistry between Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. Those two are electrifying in every scene because they play it so correct. Russell Crowe being this kind of straight, narrowed man, I don't drink, I want to look for answers, where Ryan Gosling is looking for any excuse to bring out the absurdity in a scene. One that comes to mind is like the briefcase and stuff like that, and their talk about Richard Nixon. They do like a story, like Russell Crowe's character talks about the story about, basically, there are two ways that you can do something, and with Ryan Gosling goes, "But why don't you just say that first? Why do you need this long ass story? Why don't you just say that there's two paths to something?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, whatever." And then it comes back later on at the end of the film, and they see Richard Nixon. It's like, okay, that setup was not useless. That was a hilarious joke. It's so careful in what it's doing. It doesn't feel like they're just making the joke for the sake of the joke. There's a setup. Another one of them is like when they're driving and Ryan Gosling, like, it just for a second it turns into a dream sequence, and like Russell Crowe's character shows an ankle gun, and he's like, "Oh, nice sweet ankle gun," and then like a bee starts to talk, and you're like, okay, he's dreaming. They wake up from the dream, and then later on we've subconsciously just accepted that that was a dream, but it still had happened. Then with Ryan Gosling, he when they're trying to get the projector, they're trying to get the film, they get stopped by someone, and he immediately goes for this ankle gun, and he's like, "Where's your ankle gun?" He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about, there's not an ankle gun." And he goes, "I dreamt that, didn't I?" It's incredible. You think that that joke and that dream sequence has no payoff, and the joke itself was the dream sequence, but then it goes on and does another joke on top, it does another layoff, it does another setup. Impeccable. Earlier on in the film, with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe meet for the first time, their entire interaction of just like, do you get the message of don't look for Amanda, where, you know, in simple terms, they need to find one of them. Russell Crowe got hired by Amanda to not find her, where Ryan Gosling's character needs to find Amanda, but Russell Crowe stops Ryan Gosling initially to find Amanda by going to his house, and by going to his house is like, do you get the message? The hit people, their PIs, like, do you get the message now? So funny, because like every time he goes, I get the message, and then he goes to do something more elaborate, like get a gun. Do you get the message now? And then he breaks his arm, and like the Ryan Gosling scream. It's just a lot of great funny lines that have a lot of payoff and a lot of setup for other jokes that then become funnier. That's different. That stuff I was talking about earlier, of like, when a joke is well written, it will make itself really, really funny, like Arrested Development or the shows like Community, where like the payoff is so worthwhile, you crack at the previous joke while laughing at the joke right now. There's nothing more to it. This is a fun movie, but there's a little bit of heartfelt in it. With Ryan Gosling's daughter in the movie, the whole stuff about the house burning down and why Ryan Gosling does this in the first place. Another thing the entire film is about is, are you a good person? And because they're hitmen, they're PIs, they're people who send a message. Do you get the message now? It's like, are they good people in nature because they're just trying to solidify the curve of good and evil? The entire film plot about the film and the messages of corruption, like, are you good people for doing what you do, even if this film tape has been made during an adult film segment, you're still doing a good thing by technically doing a bad thing. It's like that teetering that line of, can you do good while you're doing something bad? Russell Crowe's character, the daughter of Ryan Gosling, asked that question to him twice, and it's solidified during the first thing where it's like, did you kill that man, Russell Crowe? Did you do that? He's like, no, of course I didn't. And then when he goes to do it again in front of her, she's like, I know you're better than this. You killed that man, didn't you, last time? Don't do it this time. And he's like, okay, you're right. I need to change. I need to change who I am. I'm seeing things in black and white, but sometimes they're a bit grey. And that level of, okay, I can do a good when I'm doing something that is inherently better for mankind but bad in nature. And getting that videotape is like good. It's telling people that stand up to incorrect justice or corruption, especially during the 70s where like crime was crime. But yeah, like things like that I think was really interesting, but it was done in such a hilarious nature that that underlying message of corrupt justice, am I a good person, was done through funny semantics, hilarious insights into culture of the 70s, and just great comedic timing between characters, especially during one scene where Russell Crowe, where the main two characters are talking about like, oh, we need to go up and help Amanda, because a man came in previously and went up the elevator. It's like, okay, this is the correct thing to do, is to stay downstairs and not deal with it, but it's not the right thing to do. It's not the thing that's good for the the world itself. It's just the right thing to do as us individuals. It's like, do you do something for the greater good? And I always think of Hot Fuzz when I say the greater good, but like that thing is quite interesting in a 70s setting, in a comedy rather than a drama or a thriller. It's like, yeah, well done. And then another thing that happens in that like 10 minutes is when they go up to actually help Amanda, they see a guy flying out the window, and then they go back down because they realize that's out of their depth. It's one of those moments that make you go, yeah, the writers, they understand that teetering line of, what is it to be a good person during that time period? Is it about helping the correct level of justice? Is it just about living day to day? Like Ryan Gosling's character's entire thing is, I'm just trying to make a buck. I'm just trying to do things. I'm exposing grandmothers for their money. One of the earliest scenes is where like he talks to this old woman. It's so silly. And he's talking to this old woman. He's like, oh, so when's the last time you seen your husband? Oh, Fred, yeah. He's not been around for this. Not been around for that long. He looks over to his right. He looks over again. He sees Fred's ashtray. He sees Fred's ashes. And he's just like, so when did you last see Fred? And he goes, not since the funeral. And not being morally correct and going, excuse me, you know that's your husband on the mantelpiece. He's like, I can start right away. It's like, really? It's like, damn, that's why the whole film, The Nice Guys. Are you nice people? Are you good people? It's one of those films you go, that couldn't be funny. It's about a 1970s porno stuff. What's so funny? You watch the film, you see Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling, you go, okay, I get it. I get why this is funny. I get why this is made, and I get why people want a sequel so badly. And then in other news, we got the Django and Zorro stuff, how that's getting a movie adaptation, and this new level of Tarantino-esque stuff. First, we got the Cliff Booth movie that's not done by Tarantino, but inspired, obviously, and directly correlating to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And that's David Fincher, and Brad Pitt's coming back, and everything like that. And that's kind of a Tarantino next movie. And with this one, it's Django and Zorro, based on the comic book or graphic novel, as it's the obviously team up of these two characters, as Django is hired as this bodyguard to free more slaves, just like it was in the movie. I think this is a really good call. I think this is definitely, comic book movies deserve their adaptations, and this is one of them where I'm like, okay, I can see why fans would be, happy with it, because Django is a critically acclaimed movie. It's Django. It's, you know about Django Unchained, and you know about Zorro. So why would you not want that? It's two characters that you wouldn't think would have a good crossover, but it kind of does. And if The original cast comes back. We don't know about any. Obviously, we know about the story in the graphic novel, but we don't know what they're going to extend in any capacity. We don't know if it's going to be based on the comic book, or it's going to be directly adapting it, or it's just going to take panel for panel. We don't know if it's going to be an Invincible thing or kind of like an MCU thing where it's like just inspired by the story, or it's going to be like Invincible where they rewrite the story from the ground up. We have no idea what that is, but I think that's very interesting, and I'm glad we're doing that instead of just like Tarantino's last movie being this weird team up that will have no kind of value in his discography, I guess. Like, yes, it has value in terms of going to be a good story, it's going to be a good film, but it's not like Tarantino's last thing being this magnum opus of his entire career. I think is absurd. Just make the 10th movie and move on. But I like this Tarantino beyond, this Tarantino next stuff, because it gives a chance for people to play and write and direct and kind of play around in the world that he has so carefully created during his career, especially with Django and that teetering line of what the plot is entirely about. I think this movie will do a good job in expanding that in some capacity for the modern age, because obviously Django Unchained and that comic book came out during when the movie and a little bit after it. It's been some time now, so I think seeing Jamie Foxx get back into the Django motifs, I don't know if it's going to be Django or anyone, I don't know if it's going to be Jamie Foxx or anyone else like that, but I kind of hope either they go with the direction of it's the original stuff. So I can't complain. I'm thumbs up of approval. I can't complain there. In other stuff, it was like we've got brand new day news with Spider-Man. It's like he's got a new AI assistant, and then people were complaining on Twitter and Instagram or whatever the fuck. They were going, "Oh man, how dare he have an AI assistant?" I'm like, yeah, of course the smartest person in the world is gonna have an AI assistant. You can talk to an AI in your pocket. Like you have that stuff on your phone. Siri came out so long ago. It's not AI, but even still, it's like they're trying to say, oh, it's like Peter Parker, Spider-Man's only friend because no one knows him. Yeah, of course a person will build an AI in this world. I don't like it. I personally think that we could have done out with it, but I'm not going to go, oh man, how dare they. I just hope it's not in it for a long time, because obviously we got the assistant in Homecoming, and then obviously Edith in Far From Home, and obviously that whole ramifications. I'm excited to see what they do with its AI. Is it just going to be like Friday and it's just like helping him out during stuff? It makes sense because he's had that for the past decade of his like Spider-Man career. What I don't get is how did he just build that on his own? Is it just like is it peddled off Tony Stark stuff, or is it his own thing? Because it seems to be his own thing. And if that is the case, how far does it go? Is it just telling him like, oh, police scanner, this has come out, this is what it's done, this is where it is? Is it just like literally a Google Maps thing, or is it an entire person that he talks to? Because if it's an entire person that he talks to and like has conversations with, I guess it's like a way to do the diary. It's a way to do it's supposed to do a narrative and a narration essentially. Yeah, I don't know. I'm conflicted on it as of right now. I need to see what it looks like. I need to see what it does during the movie to actually give it a proper thought, because I'm not gonna go, oh, old man yells at sky, how dare he have Iron Man Jr. stuff. I'm okay with it. I'm neutral about it. But yeah, thank you for watching. That has been the Retro Station Podcast. I have been your host, Sammy Retro, and I hope you've enjoyed this hour of ramble. I hope you have a fantastic day, night, whatever you're doing. Thank you very much, Internet Havers. I will see you next time.